Hey guys, Matt the Finance Troll here, your chieftain, here to get you out of your cave. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting new fund on Wall Street, the YieldMax products. How do they work? How does a covered call work? And why should you be interested in this right now? Also, what are the risks? What are the rewards? And what do I have? I have some. I'm trying them out. So we'll see what I've experienced so far. And if you've been looking to get into some of these things, make your own call. I'm not a licensed broker, cannot tell you what to buy and what not to buy, but I'll tell you right now, this is very interesting. So, coming over to my investment income, holy cow, $22,000 for about $30,000 invested. That doesn't seem right. That's like 100% return on dividends. Well, that's what options can do. So, at the end of the day, there are a bunch of different funds that I've invested in between two accounts, and we will see what that looks like. So, if we come to my spreadsheet, we are here. This is when I bought the initial couple shares and their dividends. I only got $256 in dividends because I was late to the party. But here we are, January 2025. This is my compound dividend spreadsheet. This calculates kind of how long it's going to take based on a couple assumptions. Now, these assumptions could be wrong, as I will show you, and I'd love to hear your comments about what you think. So, January 2025, currently I have 235 shares of MSTY, which is the MSTR replication of the YieldMax. This is MicroStrategy, Bitcoin owner, very volatile stock. They are doing covered calls and puts on this and giving you the dividends. So that's what the idea is around this YieldMax fund. They are taking underlyings based on treasuries. They are selling covered calls against that position, and then you get that as a dividend. The problem with this is, as the stock goes down, also too does the fund. You are not in any kind of way protected from this. You may be a tiny bit smaller move, but if MSTR is down 10%, these funds are down like 7 or 8%. This is not a retirement fund. This is, I don't know how to do covered calls, or I don't have the leverage to do covered calls, and I want to see if somebody else can do it for me and give me that income. So, MSTY is that one. SMCY, that is the SMCI, super microcomputer. That is their fund for that. Also a very volatile stock. TSLY is the Tesla one. There is also one for Amazon, Nvidia, Coinbase. They have all kinds of them out there. There's also other funds that have started doing this. The Zero DTE, that one's out there. So there's a bunch of different funds out there. I'm only getting into these three today for time, but here's what the numbers look like currently today. January 2025, 235 shares, $29.95 was my purchase price. $500 is what I'm going to, in my mind, put into these every month to help with some of the fluctuations. And that leads to $8,100 in that one. I have 170 of SMCY, which is at $27.93, $500 in. Here is the dividend. These dividend numbers are estimated. They have not released yet. These are pretty conservative based on kind of averages of what they've given per share. But these are the dividends here, total. Same with the TSLY. Gotten a bunch. And I've added a big position of these. There's a whole bunch of reasons. But anyway, $17,272 in there minus the $500 per each fund that I'm going to put in. It gives you like that $17,000. The current value of these are down about 8 to 9% since I've got them. Like the total cost basis is down about $1,400. And the total dividend is going to be about $1,300. The question and concern that a lot of people have with these funds is, will that NAV erosion, if the stocks go down, will it keep up with the dividends? Currently, it doesn't look like that will, but you know, we'll see. So if this dividend stays underneath what these gains and losses are, I'm not going to be able to stay in these very long. What this looks like over time, if you do a 2% gain, obviously I don't know, we may have to change this, but ideally, in a perfect world, if this were to go up 2%, the 500 stays. The dividend is based on an 8% monthly yield. That's based on the data that they've presented so far. Add these up and continue doing that down the line and do that along each one of these things. The shares are added from the dividend, so this will automatically calculate how many shares I have as I reinvest this dividend at these prices. So that's how the spreadsheet works. My goal here was to be at about $1 million and see how long that would take based on this formula. And that happens quick. That happens by like the end of 2027. So 2 years from now, we'd be at $1 million with only putting $500 or $1,500 in a month. You can even eliminate that and see where you'd be at. The idea is I'm also going to sell out of the money puts to help fund this even further. I'll get into that in a little bit. However, so that's how that looks. So this really starts compounding quickly, and in 3 years into 2028, this is looking like $1 million just in the one. You got 900,000 in this one, and you have 800,000 in this one, compounding. Now, if you want to put in $0 in each one of these, and see where you would be at, you don't put anything in. You just want to reinvest the dividends straight up. You'd still be at $1 million by about August 2028. That's again if the fund goes up in value. If the fund goes down in value, and we're talking about times 0.98 or even 0.97, your 3% loss monthly, then you're looking at a completely different scenario. So I think at the end of the day, you have to invest in these as Tesla's going to go up, SMCY is going to go up, MSTR is going to go up. These funds are going to go up. You could also put a put on these to where you're putting protection on the downside on each one of these funds. So if you want to protect yourself from this and you don't care, all you're in here, you're just in here for the dividends, you don't give a crap, I mean, that's fine. You're still going to have a bunch of money just from reinvesting your dividends. Like automatically you'll be at like $75,000 in a fund that you never even touched since that initial 6,000. That's why compound interest is so good. But that's if the dividend stays exactly the same and the fund erodes to nothingness. So again, not something that I'm assuming would happen, but you don't know. You never know. So let's put these back. Now the question is, why wouldn't you just do this yourself? Well, doing covered calls is very expensive. You need to own 100 shares of the actual underlying, and then you get one contract. These guys are writing thousands and thousands of contracts and getting the income that way. And then if the underlying goes down, you're okay because you own the stock. You just keep writing it as it goes down, and then you're eroding away what your cost basis was. This case, we can't do that. So I did run this. I wanted to see what I could do on my own based on kind of some of the capital I wanted to allocate. And here is an example, MSTR. If you do a 357.50 call, you got $1,000. I mean, so you're not great. Let's see. No, I don't have it in that one. But either way, so you don't get a ton of money. But then there was a bunch of different options where you could get some income. I think it ended up being about 6 to 7% monthly if you were to just do it yourself. Own the underlying shares, say you have 100 shares of SMCI, you would get something like that. Mara, you could get, I think, 7% month over month, and that was for a 10% move. So if you're buying at $18 a share, you're selling the $21 calls, which is a 10% move plus, and then you're still getting another 5 or 6% in the covered call. So you could do it yourself for some cheaper stock. SMCI and Mara were the best. I looked at SQ, I looked at Square, and I looked at a couple other ones in kind of like a more affordable price range, and they were all returning about 4 to 5% month over month if you did a 31-day covered call. So what does this mean for everything else here? It looks to me like this is going to be an interesting strategy that will rely heavily on how this performs. Now, today the MSTY is up. I mean, you can see it's just extremely volatile. So to me, all you need to do is continuously buy the dips and reinvest your dividend. You've got a rough day on MSTR, you should buy some more that day. If you have a huge up day, maybe you can limit your portfolio. I would just continue to do some calls and puts on the actual main and leave this thing alone, judging by how the math is going to go. Same thing here. This has gone from about 20 to about 15, so it's eroded away about $5 a share, which isn't great, 32%. So 32% since January of 2024, 1 year, 32%, that is a third. It's reduced by a third. Tesla has also gone down in that same amount of time. So if you pull up a Tesla, you're talking about 1 year, the stock has gone up a lot. So basically, I think they got caught riding up, they didn't make enough money, and riding down, they had to come up with money. So if that's not going to change, these funds are going to get crushed. SMCY's had a huge drawdown from 52 all the way down to 30. So, I mean, you're talking when the underlying went down, these guys got crushed. So is this a good is this a good investment or not? That will be up for you guys. So let me know in the comments what you think. I'm trying out a starter portfolio. I think that the compounding interest effect will override a lot of this stuff if you can take precautions and take some of your income that you're getting and buy puts on the underlyings for the other stocks. But the problem is a lot of that is very high IV. If you want to get MSDR protection, you got to spend almost $1,300 per 100 shares. It's a lot of money, right? So there goes all of your stuff. So it just depends. Do you trust the underlying? Do you think they're going to go up? Buy the NVIDIA one if you want that stock forever and you want some income. You want covered calls. So let me know what you think. Write some comments, and happy hunting, guys.